Hi, everybody. It is Main Street Today time. We've got a really cool show. We're going to talk about sun protection and either side of 50. My friend Michelle Probst, one of the prettiest ladies I've ever met in my life, and she's going to talk about ways to just harness your own beauty. I wore a shirt in honor of mine, Be Imperfect. We celebrate that. Whatever you are, your imperfections make you you. And I'm going to say I love to have my glasses match my outfit. I do. That's my thing. I had my perfect purple glasses that matched the purple. I mean, I had it all going and I broke them on the way in. This is what happens in life. We have things that we're just going along and everything's just perfect. And then something happens like, life, menopause, weird stuff like that, or something happens and everything changes. How do we embrace that? Well, I've got the pro standing by. Michelle Probst is here. Hi, how are you?
Hey, girl, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And I'm ready to be imperfect and embrace all that we are. And we're going to find out some tips to just take care of ourselves. And sun protection, I learned from you, is what we have to say now instead of sunblock.
Yeah, you can't block the sun. In fact, they had to take all of the verbiage off packaging about 4 or 5 years ago. But, the thing is that, as us young girls are moving into a different time frame, we are dehydrating. And so getting out in the sun only makes it worse. But back to your imperfections, I think that's what the beauty is about life, about women, about everything. And if we're just not so hard on ourselves, I know I battle with that, but getting out in the sun, even if you're we were talking about gardening earlier, or you taking care of your animals, if you're out in the sun, you have to have protection, period.
When we talk about it this time of year, there are all sorts of, you're out in the garden and you can stay out a lot longer than you plan on, especially if the temperatures are pleasant, like in the 70s, you can stay out a long time. And even if it's a little overcast, you can stay out even longer. But the sun is still there and it still causes some huge damage and some really scary damage to our health.
Well, and Devin, when it's cloudy is the worst because the UV rays, you aren't feeling them, but they're getting your skin for sure. But these days there's so many options, like for what we were talking about before. I love to have a little color. So use the fake tans. L'Oreal has got a bunch of great products. There's a spray that I use just on your face, your arms, your legs, or they have wipes. There's just so many options to look like you have sun without damaging your skin. And I don't know if I've told you, but 1 in 40 women are getting melanoma, which is the cancer.
That's a lot. 1 in 40?
1 in 40 in the US. And, we did so much damage. I remember we were talking about, we used to lay at the top of the sorority house with an album cover and tin foil. We had iodine and the baby oil, and we were frying our skin like bacon. And now 20 years later, 30 years later, it's showing up. So you do have to check with your dermatologist. That's number one. Maintenance, protection, and, do check in with your doctors. Don't be afraid because you've got to go there, and it's so easy now, even with makeup. I love a BB cream. I was telling you about this before. This is another L'Oreal product, but this has got everything you need to cover your face, but it also gives you the SPF all in one. And I'm too lazy to do 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
I love it. I love it. So that's a L'Oreal product. I love L'Oreal. It's
drugstore beauty. We're all about drugstore.
And if you don't follow Michelle, she is on Facebook under Worth Beauty, and you'll notice it because she's got her glam squad. That
those are all women. I'm going to tell you, those are all women over 50. And I just want us to represent, because we're all living longer, we're taking better care of ourselves, and there's a little maintenance involved, but it is worth it because why not look healthy the way you feel inside? How old do you feel? In your 20s, 30s, why don't we represent that externally as well?
That is so good. And it is so, so, so true. There are a lot of people who are asking questions. One actually came from Worth Beauty. Barbie Keene asked about sunscreen that won't burn your eyes. If you're out working out or you're outside in the garden, what is something that doesn't, when you sweat and goes down into your eyes, it's awful.
Oh my gosh. No, and that's such a good question. And what you need to do is check again. I told you I like the sprays the best, but there are a lot that say water resistant on the product, and look for that if you're going to be like just not laying out or whatever, just taking a walk. This really works. And also, do things that are simple as wear sunglasses that have UV ray blocking. Wear a hat. There's so many other ways without having to actually put stuff on your skin. It's just, it's out there. It's easy. It's available.
I wear a hat, and we got a lot of folks who are checking in with us. Let's see. Elizabeth says, I spend too much time in the sun. I look like a lobster very quickly. If I spend, yeah, I know. And we know if we are prone to sun damage. And I didn't spend as much time out in the sun growing up because I burned. So Andrew says hello and a good morning to Jane. And there's something there. There's another product that you had that I had never heard of, and micellar water.
Yeah, this is a new trend in cleansing the face. So when you do go outside and you might not want to necessarily take a shower, you can take off, whether it's makeup, sunblock, sun protection, whatever it is, and it's oils in a water. It's so healthy. It's hydrating. It's under $15. There's several brands. Garnier has one. I'm using this particular Bioderma, but it just makes your skin feel good and leaves you with a glow, especially at night before you go to bed, because that's when I get lazy, is I don't want to take it off. I just want to go to bed. But this is so easy to do, and you literally just take whatever kind of pat, whatever you want to do, and just kind of take it out. It will take mascara off. It'll take lipstick off.
Micellar water. Micellar water, because we always think we have this special makeup removers and really expensive, and we don't have to spend a lot of that. And I know I'm a L'Oreal girl. I mean, it's my favorite mascara. I tried all those expensive mascaras that are supposed to lengthen your lashes and all that stuff. I hated most of them, and they burned my eyes, and it was just terrible. And I just went back to my L'Oreal. It's the one I like.
I hope they're listening. Hello, L'Oreal.
Right. Hashtag L'Oreal.
Hello. No, but there's so much available on the market. And these days you can just do Amazon. It's there at your step the next day. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is hydration and also your hair. When you get out in the sun, and I don't know many women our age that aren't coloring their hair in some form or fashion. So that's already drying your hair out. So there's some really good essential oils that after you've been in the sun that you can just put on, like even at home, olive oil, coconut oil. These are things you have in the kitchen or in the pantry. Just take it and treat your hands, treat your décolleté, which is your neck. And this area is so sensitive, chest, to the sun, especially at our age, and even your scalp. Don't forget that. And I also love a vitamin C spray, which I just kind of spray it here, also on your hair if you're not wearing a hat in the sun. And then also go back to the basics. Vaseline. I mean, whether you're slapping it on your feet and putting socks on, your hands are so important. Every part of you've got to hydrate. I always tell my clients, I'd rather you have a pimple than a wrinkle. Slather it on, girls, because dry skin is a real issue.
It truly is. And I'm so glad you brought up Vaseline or any kind of petroleum-based. Eucerin is another product that's a drugstore thing. It's wonderful. And Amazon now has their version of it that is their own, that's even a little bit cheaper. But petroleum-based products like that are better for scars than anything else. And I learned this because I went in with some little skin cancer. Even though I take care of myself, I don't go out in a rainstorm without SPF. I'm the whitest human on the planet. So I talked to, when I went in, and Dr. Lett in Mount Juliet and Lebanon, I did a lot of research. He is wonderful, and he is a plastic surgeon. I chose, because it was on my face, to go to a plastic surgeon rather than a dermatologist. We have great dermatologists. And so wherever you go, but I really loved someone who was really used to doing things. And he said, now, it's going to leave a little bit of a scar, but I'm telling you, I cannot even tell where it was. And the place that he found was like the top of a pin. It was the
Yeah.
tiniest little speck. And I went for something else. And he says, well, I think these are just little things. This is what worries me.
Well, this is back to self-maintenance, checking with your doctor, because you would never have spotted that. And that could have turned into melanoma.
It
And then they would
absolutely
have had to
can.
take a big old chunk out of your nose. You know what I mean? Like, plastic surgery is also important, because if you're getting something removed off your face, go to a plastic surgeon, because it's worth it. It's your face.
Yeah. And it's the same as going to a dermatologist in that they remove it. They do all the tests and all that other stuff. So make sure
check your
that
back, check your back, places you don't normally see. Remember when you would lay out and just lay on your back? I mean, those are the areas the moles will be popping up, and you really have to get those checked out. And they say if you see change in a mole, that's the most important thing to pay attention to, is if you see growth or change or height.
Oh, incredible. Thank you so much for your time with us today. Everybody go to Worth Beauty on Facebook and follow everything that Michelle does. And Instagram. Oh, that's Worth Beauty Company.
Yes.
Worth Beauty Co. Worth Beauty Company. So
thank you, girl.
Thank you. Bye. I love what she talks about. Hey, coming up, we're going to talk about a spice that might be in your cabinet that's been recalled. It's causing salmonella. So stay tuned. But first, we got Makky Kaylor, who is in our waiting room. We're going to talk to him about a really cool show he's got coming up. But before that, we debuted a song yesterday. Everybody was sending me messages. I love that song about Firefly. Firefly. Who is Wildwood? Well, she is Wildwood. And Buckle is Wildwood. And I am, I'm a fan. When you came to visit me at WSM, I just became this uber fan of your music. It's just so great.
Thank you so much. That's really cool.
I mean, not everybody ends up in my constant shuffle. I love everybody. But the music that you want to hear over and over. And today, where it's kind of special, because I got two people I listen to all the time. Tell me a little bit about how you are part of the Carter family legacy.
Yeah. So the name Wildwood that I go by, I chose to kind of honor my family's history from their song, The Wildwood Flower, which was put out in 1927. And my great uncle was AP Carter, and my great-grandfather's name was Jim Carter, and he was a brother to AP and Ezra, who was June Carter's dad. So I'm one of the cousins.
It's just beautiful when I see the pictures, and I see it, I hear it in your voice, and I see it in your face shape. It very much, it's spectacular how much that music influenced every part of country music that we know today.
It really did. And my music. I mean, my uncles on that side, one of them played guitar for Johnny Cash for years and years. And they're the ones who taught me to play guitar and handed me my first violin when I was 5 and said, in this family, we play music. And so they're the reason I found my passion in music. And unfortunately, pretty much all of my family influences have passed away. A couple of my uncles, a few of my cousins, and then, of course, all the, Johnny and June and everyone, my grandmother. But they live on through my music, I think.
They absolutely do. And you play just about anything with strings, don't you?
I do.
Crazy.
I do. I play violin's my first instrument. And so I always love to tuck away a string arrangement on a song. So I have a new album coming out, kind of an EP and single at a time over the next few months. And if you listen, you'll hear strings in just about everything in some way.
It's spectacular. And this week, let's talk a little bit about Firefly and where that song came from, because we're going to play the video again because so many people responded to it. And it is out right now. And we encourage everybody to just make a little note of this, because we're going to play the video and you're going to want this song. And you're going to listen to it over and over and over. And it really works with our first guest too. With what we were talking about, be imperfect and kind of wrap around who you are, just in all of your beauty that you are and your imperfection. Now let's talk about Firefly.
I love that shirt, by the way. I know it's a bee,
Thanks.
but it looks like a firefly.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes. And I have these little golden butterfly earrings that my dad gave me when I was a little girl, and I've been wearing them pretty much like all the last week. I don't have them on this morning, but they make me think of the fireflies too. So I like reminding myself of this message, which how the song came about was a couple of years ago on NPR. I was just listening to the radio and I heard a segment about fireflies, and I grew up calling them lightning bugs, but same thing, right? And they were saying that the firefly actually spends its first 2 years underground, without light, without flight. And then when it finally matures into an adult firefly, it only has 21 days to live, and then it dies. And that really struck me because I thought, man, that's something that's so magical and so beautiful. And every summer just inspires me when I see them out in the woods. It's one of my favorite wonders of nature, truly. And I thought, how wild that they only have that short of a time. And I wanted to write a song about it, but then it kind of took a few years for it to come out. Sometimes songs do that. And last summer I had COVID-19 and I was really sick and it was really scary. And when I finally got out of my quarantine, I kind of had this realization. I don't want to be dramatic and say I was going to die, but I kind of had one of those moments of, oh my gosh, how have I been spending my life? How have I been doing the things I want to be doing? Because what if this was it? What if I didn't make it out of this virus? And luckily I did. And the day I got out, I grabbed my guitar, sat down at the table and wrote Firefly.
It's just amazing. And if I live out in the country where we don't have as much light pollution. And there are a lot of fields, and you could just go out in the darkness of night and see, and I call it a firefly rodeo. It's just like, they're just all over everywhere. And it's incredible to see. Well, thank you for your time today. Wildwood. She is Wildwood on all socials. And I'm going to play this song now, and just go get it wherever you stream music, wherever you buy music. But I tell you, you're going to be a fan of Wildwood.
Thank you so much, Devin. Thank you for having me.
Pardon me if I gush just a little bit, because when I find music I love, I just get behind it. So
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Every June, when the sun goes down, the fireflies start dancing around. They put on quite a show, and I wonder if they even know it. They're only here for a couple of weeks, and it makes me sad when they start to leave. Best things are like that, they tend to not last too long. When you've only got 21 days, you don't dare let one go to waste. You take flight and to shine your light, 'cause you know you don't got a lot of time to be a firefly. When they're flying through the trees, I like to imagine them smiling back at me. They know their purpose, it's not a burden at all. When you've only got 21 days, you don't dare let one go to waste. You take flight and to shine your light, 'cause you know you don't got a lot of time to be a firefly. don't hit snooze. You only regret the things you didn't do. Don't wait for tomorrow, 'cause these hours are borrowed as it is. You and I get more than 21 days, but don't you dare let even one go to waste. Take to the sky and shine your light, 'cause you know you don't got a lot of time. No, we don't get much time to be a firefly.
Y'all, I just might have to go and sit down and have me a nice little cry after that. That was just, it's just the most precious sentiment. Wildwood Firefly, get it today. And we're about to meet a guy that really knows the true meaning of that song. He has lived it. He has lived it. Makky Kaylor is standing by. Before we go to Makky, this is important. It's when something is recalled and it's a food product that you might be using. If you use ground coriander, and it's a spice that you might have in your cabinets right now. This week, Food Service News reported that ground coriander was causing bouts of salmonella in some places. And it's special brands that are sold at Home Goods. So you might have gotten it. It's organic coriander, Old Thompson and Sun Harvest, the flip top kind, and they've been recalled. And so just want to let you know, because salmonella is not fun. I got it once from some peanut butter. And it didn't stop me from eating peanut butter, but it was, oh Lord, it was something. It was something. You don't want it. So ground coriander, the Old Thompson and Sun Harvest, sold at Home Goods. So just if you have some, don't even take a chance. Just throw it out. It's not worth the chance. Well, I'm going to tell you, you want to save a date. It is coming up. And Makky Kaylor, my swanky South brother, is standing by. I'm so good. I'm so glad that you're here.
Good to see you. Me too.
You know, and I saw you. I mean, you might have been reacting to that Firefly song just a little bit yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, my motto is "Earth time is short." So that song sums it up pretty well. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, you literally skirted death twice. And I've asked you to tell this before, and we every heart month we talk about it, because taking care of our hearts is something just like taking care of our skin. Sometimes we overlook the thing that keeps us going.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. As you know, like it's actually been 20 years. 20 years ago, I know.
And you're just a baby. You were singing demos for me.
I was doing demos round the clock pretty much, and you know, 10s and 2s and 6s, you know, every day, and I was tired, but I didn't know. I just figured I was tired, but it finally got a little bit too much. So I went to the doctor, and they said, sure enough, your heart is 3 times enlarged, and the pumping capacity was about 20%. So they said, you're going to have open heart surgery. So I did. I had open heart surgery 20 years ago, and they replaced my aortic valve wasn't working, basically. So they replaced it. I've had a prosthetic one ever since. And hey, you know, I'm ticking. As long as I'm ticking, I'm good. So I'm still ticking. I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. Well, as long as I keep an eye on it, because I've been on blood thinner that whole time for 20 years. And so about a year and a half ago, I wasn't keeping as close tabs on it as I probably should have. So my blood level got a little thin, and that's actually something that I like to sort of preach these days, is just make sure if you're on blood thinners and that sort of thing, just make sure that you're keeping close attention to that, because about a year and a half ago, it just, the levels got a little out of whack, and it caused my prosthetic valve not to work so well, and so I actually had a couple of strokes and was in ICU at St. Thomas, and so it was a close deal, but I am so incredibly thankful for every day. I mean, I know so many people have been devastated, and debilitated by strokes, and so I'm very, very thankful. And just like the song said there, I try to be to get the most out of life every day, and I think everybody should. We don't know, so.
Well, you also, I thought that was really poignant that you used music. Music really helped come back. Every stroke takes something that you have to work to come back. You can give up and say, okay, well, I've been devastated by a stroke, but you didn't do that.
Right. Right.
There were some frustrating times though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, thankfully, Devin, it wasn't really a physical thing. And I'm so thankful. It's almost like muscle memory with the music for me. I mean, the day I got home from the hospital, I sat down at my keyboard and I could play and sing, and that was not a problem. The challenge for me was, and they called it speech therapy, but really it was more just cognitive therapy for me to, I mean, I don't mind telling you, I mean, I would, if somebody gave me a list of more than 2 things for weeks and weeks, I would get so frustrated. And I broke down and cried in the middle of Kroger one time because I had a list and I did not remember what the list was, where the stuff was. And thankfully, I live in my little town here in Columbia that I love so much, my mule town. And I knew the pharmacist, and I went to the pharmacist, and she just looked at me and she knew what had happened with me. And she said, let's go find what you need. So,
bless her.
And that's the beautiful thing about living in a small town, but it's also just, it's also a story of how, I was able to get through that though. And God has just blessed me. I'm just thankful for every day. I'm doing great. I'm 100%. I'm doing wonderful. So yeah.
I love it. Makky Kaylor, his voice has been, you've seen him on Larry's Country Diner. You've heard his voice on countless songs and jingles and everything. He's got that Memphis sound he brings in. But let's talk about your live performance, because if you have not heard Makky Kaylor in the Swanky South, you have missed a great night of music.
Yeah, well, I kind of going back to what you just said, through the years, just like yourself, I've gotten to work with all these incredible musicians through the years, and through the years, the ensemble of the Swanky South players has been, endless, of just these incredible Grammy-winning players and legendary players, really. So the group that I have now have assembled for actually it's a brand new recording project that we're about to wrap up, but also have a lot of live dates that are beginning to open up again, thankfully. And these guys, my piano players, you probably know these guys, but Dane Bryant plays piano. He was Olivia Newton-John's band leader for years, and yeah. So Mark Beckett, my drummer, is also, well, of course, he's the Opry drummer, but he and I are also co-producing my new project together, and we've definitely intentionally sort of drawn on his daddy's mojo, and we're kind of taking it back to Memphis and Muscle Shoals, which is feeling pretty good. So,
for those that don't know, Barry Beckett, one of the most incredible producers, and he's responsible for my first song recorded in this town. Barry Beckett, I will never forget him, and one of the first people I met when I moved here. He was producing Hank Jr., and a friend of mine was Hank Jr.'s road manager and brought me into the studio. I mean, I was green as a gourd. Yeah. And took me into a Hank Jr. Recording session. And that's where I met Barry Beckett. Incredible gentleman, great guy. And I remember him telling, yes. And now his boys, Mark and Matthew, are just incredible musicians and producers.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting. We are intentionally, like I said, doing the Southern soul thing, Southern R&B thing, and he just naturally knows he knows what to do just because he grew up around it, and like you said, that legacy of the Muscle Shoals sound and all that, and I grew up listening, to but kind of like yourself. When I met Barry, it was pretty cool because I'd grown up listening to Delbert, and
Oh yeah.
Clinton stuff out of Muscle Shoals, and of course Barry produced that and all that great music out of there, and so when I got to meet
And
Barry,
played on it. Yeah.
yeah, and so I was singing, and so I ended up singing a lot of demos at Barry's house, and Mark played drums on them back then. So we've all these musicians, we've all known each other for many years, and still, let's make it fun. We've all gone through so much stuff through the years, with industry stuff. But hey, it's kind of like come full circle. And we're like, let's just have fun. Let's make this fun again, right? So.
Right. And so, who else is in the band? Who will be on stage this weekend?
So I'm playing the place where I play a lot in my town in Columbia is Puckett's, and so we're back at Puckett's this weekend. And then we're at Rory Feek's Homestead Hall in a couple of weeks, and that's all in Columbia. So I've got Dane Bryant on piano, Mark Beckett will be playing drums with me. I've got a couple of horn players. Scott Duquet plays with me a lot. He's great. He calls himself a bugler. I call him a trumpeter or whatever. But he's great. He played with Kenny Chesney, and he played with Delbert and did Skinner's last big tour or whatever. So he's a great trumpet player. There's a sax player that played for years with Kenny Loggins that just transplanted to Tennessee and lives pretty close here. And he's an amazing sax player.
Wow.
Named Steve Nieves. My bass player has been with me for 30 years. That's Don Johnson, DJ. Mm-hmm. And Robert Arthur's playing guitar with me. And we've been playing music together for 25, 30 years too. So since we were babies,
Since you were babies.
Yeah.
Well, this Memphis boy is going to be on stage. So Puckett's in Columbia in Rory Feek's.
Yeah, this Saturday night we'll be there, and we're very fortunate. We usually sell that out, but I understand there's still some seats. So please come if you're around, and come see Columbia for if nothing else. Because it's booming and it's wonderful to see. I lived in Franklin for years, and it's very much got the same sort of vibe as when that was beginning to really flourish. So it's a beautiful thing, and a lot of creative professionals are moving here, which is awesome. I'm in a space where I am. If I could show you the whole thing here, but it's a studio and writing studio and office space here in Red King Productions, which is Rory Feek's stuff here, which is it's beautiful. It's got TV studios and just wonderful creative atmosphere. It feels like old Music Row, really. It's pretty cool.
It really is. Music Row has literally moved out, and Columbia is just a hotbed of great music. I was just talking to Bridget Tatum, and she is out that direction too. So love it, love. I'm going to close the show with your music because I can't have you on and not play your music. But thank you for your time today.
Thank you. So good to see you, Devin.
Good to see you too. Makky Kaylor. Follow him on all the social media and make sure that you subscribe. If you are watching this on Facebook or YouTube, find Makky Kaylor either place and subscribe.
Please.
And hit that bell. Hit that bell so you know when he puts something new up.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you for your time, darling. We're going to close with what we always do. Be safe, be kind, and remember most of all that you are loved. Bye, everybody.
He drove a big black Eldorado to the other side of the track. There lived a magic mojo girl who just loved his Cadillac. He slicked back his silver hair, twirled his pinky ring, said, tonight let's hit the Vegas Strip again. Baby, you can make me king. Oh, my muse, I'll be your sugar daddy. I can't lose Mr. Big Spender. Blackjack, baccarat, slots, and roulette. He was the man to beat. He was high rolling, going for broke, and she had a front row seat. Then the temptress whispered to him, bet it all again. And he heard his own voice tremble, deal me in. Oh, my muse, I'll be your sugar daddy. I can't lose with you, my lucky charm. So blow on the dice, my love, and I'll roll you a winner. Be my lady luck, and I will be Mr. Big Spender. You can always beat the house, she says. Why win and walk away? She's temptation, persuasion. She'll steal you blind. Or is this your lucky day? Oh, my muse, I'll be your sugar daddy. I can't lose with you, my lucky charm. So blow on the dice, my love, and I'll roll you a winner. Be my lady luck, and I will be Mr. Big Spender. Big penny. Be my lady luck, and I will be Mr. Big Spender. Thank you all.